Walking with invisible chains is the most common way of living in this world. They are not made of iron, but they weigh the same. Memories you don't let go of, excuses you repeat, fake characters you invented to please. And while you carry all that, you wonder why you don't move forward, why your life feels trapped at the same point. The answer is simple and brutal, because you keep holding on to what you should have left behind a long time ago. This path I'm going to talk to you about is not comfortable, and precisely for that reason, it's worth it. Stoicism teaches that true strength is not in accumulating power or pretending security, but in silently freeing yourself from everything that drains you, from what wears down your energy and steals your authenticity. Here, there are no easy promises or nice phrases to motivate you. There is reality. If you don't let go, you sink. If you don't act today, tomorrow will be the same prison. Each lesson we are going to go through is a direct hit against what slows you down. It's not about talking about changes, but about practicing them, about uprooting what no longer belongs to your life. Freedom is not a gift. It is a personal conquest that demands discipline and a courage that few are willing to demonstrate. You decide if you continue dragging the chains, or if you start from now on to break them one by one until you finish them. 1. Eliminate the false character. A broken mirror can show you 1,000 fragments of your face, but none is real, none is complete. This is what happens when you live playing a false character, a fabricated version to fit in, to please, to avoid being judged by others. You become scattered reflections that confuse even yourself, and one day you wake up without knowing who you really are. That disguise may give you the illusion of acceptance, but what it really does is steal your authenticity and exhaust you with every rehearsed gesture. No one respects someone who lives pretending. Not even you can respect yourself when you act like someone you're not. Stoicism teaches us that greatness is not in meeting others' expectations, but in firmly holding on to your essence, even when it doesn't fit into others' views. Pretending to be secure, pretending to be kind, pretending to be strong, only drags you into a prison you built with your own hands. That mask you put on to protect yourself ends up suffocating your freedom. How do you eliminate that false character? First, by recognizing that it exists. Ask yourself how many times you act differently in front of others for fear of rejection. If the answer is very often, then the mask rules you. The advice is clear. Stop and observe. Before speaking, before acting, ask yourself if you do it because you really feel it or because you want to please. That simple pause can become the first crack that breaks the disguise. Second, dare to be uncomfortable. Stop saying yes when you really want to say no. Don't justify your feelings. Don't soften your opinions so others feel comfortable. Authenticity is uncomfortable, and that's okay, because the fake can please many, but the authentic inspires respect from those who really matter. The courage to be yourself is not measured in applause, it is measured in the peace of going to sleep, knowing you didn't betray your truth. Third, practice conscious silence. The false character often talks too much to sustain the illusion, to embellish with words what has no roots. Learn to be silent when what is born in you is not authentic. Silence is not weakness, it is control. Every time you choose not to feed a role that doesn't belong to you, you strengthen your true voice. Fourth, surround yourself with environments where you don't need to pretend. The mask weighs more when you live surrounded by people who only value you for the facade. If you can't be yourself in a place, that place is not for you. And if it is by obligation, maintain emotional distance. Don't give your essence to those who only know how to receive disguises. The Stoic does not seek to be liked, he seeks to be free. That freedom is born when you look at yourself without adornments and say, "This is me, with virtues and with errors, but I am real." The false character does not protect you, it betrays you. Every day you sustain it, you move a little further away from yourself. If you want to transform your life, start by tearing off that mask with the same force with which you tear a rotten root from the ground. It is painful, yes, but only then can you grow strong and in peace. The next time you find yourself acting like someone you're not, remember, a broken mirror will never show your true face, and living fragmented is not living. It's just pretending to exist. Choose to be complete, even if that means being uncomfortable. The greatest respect is the one you give yourself when you decide not to play a role that was never yours. 2. Act today, not tomorrow. A clock without hands always shows the same time, but it's useless because it never moves forward. That's how you live when you postpone what you know you have to do, trapped in the illusion that tomorrow will be better. The problem is that tomorrow never comes, and every time you delay your decisions, your strength weakens a little more. Procrastinating is not resting, it's yielding ground to inertia. It's allowing your life to stop while the world keeps moving forward without you. Stoicism reminds us that the only time we truly own is the present. The future is not guaranteed and the past cannot be changed. Acting today is assuming the power you have in your hands. It's deciding that your life will not be ruled by excuses or fears. Every action you postpone becomes a debt with yourself, and emotional debts are always paid with anxiety and regret. How to break this destructive habit? First, stop waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is unstable. It comes and goes like the wind. If you wait for it, you'll never do anything. What you need is not motivation, but discipline. Set clear tasks for the day and fulfill them without negotiating with yourself. It may be a small action, but do it today. That minimum movement is the spark that ignites the fire of consistency. Second, confront the trap of when I have time. Time is not found, it's created. If something is important to you, it should be in your day, not on an endless to-do list. Schedule your priorities and protect them as if they were unbreakable commitments. A day without priorities is a day given to nothingness. Third, understand that acting today does not mean doing everything at once. Often you postpone because the goal seems too big. Divide the action into achievable steps and start with the first one. You don't have to solve your whole life in an instant. You just need to move one step further than you did yesterday. Progress is cumulative, and when you understand this, the weight of action becomes lighter. Fourth, eliminate distractions that disguise procrastination as productivity. Checking emails, endlessly scrolling on social media, or organizing without executing are elegant ways of wasting time. Before starting your day, ask yourself what action, just one, would change your day if you completed it. Do it first, and the rest can wait. Fifth, accept that tomorrow is a mental deception. You have no control over what will happen, but you do have control over what you do now. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," change it to, "Today I take a step," even if it's small. This substitution changes the mindset from victim to protagonist. The Stoic does not entertain empty promises, he acts. He does not sit around waiting for a better time, he creates the moment with firm decisions. He understands that life is built in silences full of action, not in words full of excuses. The next time your mind whispers, "Do it later," respond with actions, not thoughts. Do it now, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncomfortable, because the clock of your life does not wait. Every second that passes without action is a lost second that will not return. And in the end, you won't remember what you planned. You'll remember what you had the courage to do. Acting today is not an option. It's the only way not to become a spectator of your own existence. 3. Let go of the weight of the past. Footprints in the sand disappear with the tide, but those you keep in your mind seem to be carved in stone. You carry memories as if they were chains. You repeat old scenes as if they still had power over you, and you let what has already happened govern what you live now. The past no longer exists beyond your memory, but if you do not let it go, you turn it into a silent enemy that prevents you from moving forward. Stoicism teaches that the only thing you own is the present. Even so, many prefer to drag guilt, betrayals, mistakes, and pains that no longer have a remedy. It's like drinking poison every day, hoping that time will neutralize it. The reality is that while you cling to what is no longer there, you abandon what could grow in front of you. How to leave that burden behind? First, distinguish between learning and reliving. Learning means extracting the lesson and letting go of the wound. Reliving means opening it over and over again until it gets infected. If a memory constantly returns, do not feed it with questions like, "What would have happened if?" Change it to, "What did I learn from this that I can apply today?" Learning frees, repetition enslaves. Second, forgive without the need for reconciliation. Forgiving is not absolving or justifying what they did to you, it is freeing your mind from the anchor that keeps you tied. Many times you wait for the other person to change in order to let go, and that is the mistake. Forgiveness is a solitary act. It is a decision to stop carrying what does not correspond to you. Third, practice conscious detachment. Keep only what nourishes you and let go of what destroys you. If you have objects, messages, or physical memories that constantly rekindle a wound, keep them away from your life. You don't need reminders of what hurt you, you need space for what can strengthen you. Fourth, change your internal narrative. If you always tell yourself the same story with the same ending, your mind will live trapped in it. Rewrite your story. Recognize that what happened was not the end of your life, but a chapter that brought you here. The past has no power beyond what you grant it in your internal dialogue. Fifth, focus on what you can control, your actions today. Each time your mind returns to what was, respond with action. Exercise, study, work on your project, talk to someone who adds to you. The present is strengthened with acts, not with memories. The Stoic understands that the past is a teacher, not a master. Learn what it has to teach you, and then let it go. If you keep it alive longer than necessary, it consumes you like a fire that never goes out. The weight of the past does not disappear on its own. It is released with discipline and with the courage to accept that it can no longer be changed. Every day you decide to look forward is a blow against those invisible chains. You are not your mistakes or your wounds. You are the strength you choose to build today. Choose to walk lightly, because the path to your transformation does not need ancient stones. It needs firm steps. 4. Break emotional dependency. Puppets move with invisible strings they do not control. Each movement depends on the hand that manipulates them. This is how someone who gives their emotions to others' lives, waiting for approval, affection, or recognition to feel at peace. When your stability depends on what someone says or fails to do, you become an emotional slave, and slavery will never be compatible with the inner freedom you seek. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in governing your inner world, not in waiting for others to hold it up. But emotional dependency often disguises itself as love, care, closeness. You think you need that person to be complete, when in reality, what you are doing is giving up your autonomy. The price is high: constant anxiety, fear of abandonment, and the feeling of emptiness every time you do not receive the attention you expected. How to break that invisible chain? The first step is to recognize it. Ask yourself honestly if your peace depends on the reactions of others. If silence hurts you more than usual, if a gesture or a missing message is enough to destroy your mood, there is dependency. Identifying it is already an act of bravery because it reveals the truth. You have given your power to someone else. The second step is to work on emotional self-sufficiency. It does not mean closing yourself off to affection or living in isolation, but learning to maintain your balance without someone else guaranteeing it. This is practiced with small, daily actions. Dedicate time to activities that you enjoy alone. Set personal goals that do not require external validation, and constantly remember that your value is not measured in the attention you receive, but in the firmness with which you walk your own path. The third step is to set clear boundaries. Dependency is born when you allow others to define your emotional state without resistance. Learn to say no when something goes against your peace, and do it without fear of losing connections. If a relationship only survives at the expense of your emotional freedom, it is not a healthy relationship. It is a contract of submission disguised as affection. The fourth step is to strengthen your internal dialogue. The dependent often repeats phrases like, "Without that person I can't," or "I need them to love me to be okay." These affirmations are chains that you reinforce yourself. Replace them with thoughts that give you back autonomy. My peace depends on me. My value is not in the hands of others. Changing the internal discourse does not eliminate attachment immediately, but it opens space to build a new reality. The fifth step is to accept the fear of loneliness. Much of the dependency comes from the terror of being left alone. But loneliness is not an enemy, it is a teacher. Spending time with yourself without distractions forces you to know yourself, to understand your voids, and to fill them with your own strength. Whoever learns to be okay with themselves never becomes a hostage to anyone again. The Stoic understands that emotions are part of life, but not its tyrant. He knows that to love is not to lose oneself in another, but to share from the abundance of what one already is. When you break emotional dependency, you do not become cold or distant, you become free. And from that freedom, you can choose to love with more purity, because you no longer love out of necessity, but by decision. Breaking this chain is not easy, because sometimes it is confused with deep bonds. But the difference is clear. A healthy bond gives you wings, dependency ties you down. You decide if you want to be a puppet of invisible strings or the master of your own balance. 5. Free yourself from anxiety. Anxiety is like a thief that never enters through the front door, but hides in dark corners and feeds on your weakest thoughts. It steals your calm before anything happens, convinces you that the worst is yet to come, and turns your mind into a battlefield where you always lose without the war even having started. The irony is that most of the fears that fuel anxiety never happen, but you still live them as if they were real, wearing you down day after day. Stoicism teaches that the mind should focus on what it can control, and anxiety precisely arises from the opposite, trying to govern what is out of your reach. When your energy is consumed in anticipating scenarios that do not even exist, you surrender your life to uncertainty and lose the only sure thing you have, the present. How can you free yourself from this invisible trap? First, learn to identify the exact moment when your mind jumps ahead. Anxiety does not appear suddenly. It infiltrates with thoughts like, what if I can't? What if I fail? What if they reject me? As soon as you notice this chain of assumptions, pause and ask yourself, is this happening now or only in my head? The answer is usually that it is a fantasy. Recognizing it is the first defense. Second, practice the Stoic technique of separating what depends on you from what does not. Make a mental list. On one side, place what you can control, such as your decisions and actions. On the other, what you cannot, such as the opinion of others or the final outcome. Dedicate energy only to the first list and resist the temptation to wear yourself out on what you will never be able to handle. This simple division restores clarity and calm. Third, strengthen your body to calm the mind. Anxiety is not only mental, it is also physical. It accumulates in the chest, in accelerated breathing, in insomnia. That's why it's vital to move the body, walk, exercise, breathe deeply. Physical discipline does not eliminate problems, but it breaks the vicious circle of tension and frees up space for the mind to think clearly. Fourth, reduce the noise that feeds anxiety. Alarmist news, toxic conversations, and excess social media act as fuel for your worry. Select carefully what you consume, because everything that enters your eyes and ears ends up affecting your peace. You cannot demand calm from your mind if you feed it chaos all day. Fifth, learn to accept uncertainty as part of life. The anxious person seeks guarantees, but reality never offers them. The Stoic knows that the unknown is not an enemy, it is the natural terrain where life is lived. Instead of resisting it, he adapts. And when you accept it, anxiety loses strength because you understand that nothing is under absolute control, and it's okay that way. Sixth, practice the present. Every time you feel your mind racing towards a future that does not yet exist, return to what you have in front of you. Focus on the task you are doing, on the conversation you are having, on the breath that sustains your life. The present is a powerful anchor when you learn to use it. Anxiety does not disappear with magic, it is mastered with practice and discipline. It's not about eliminating fear, but preventing it from paralyzing you. When you choose to focus on what you can do today, the thief loses his strength and calm returns. And then you understand that inner freedom is not the absence of problems, but the mastery of your mind in the face of them. 6. Forgive and regain your peace. Holding a grudge is like embracing a burning ember, hoping it will burn the other person. But in the end, it only burns you. Resentment becomes a prison where the bars are your own thoughts, and every memory of what they did to you acts like a relentless jailer. You can pretend to be calm, smile in front of everyone, but inside there is a storm that does not cease because you continue to carry the wound as if it were eternal. The most painful thing is not what happened, but what you repeat every time you remember it. Stoicism teaches that control is in your mind, not in what others did or did not do. Clinging to the wound only prolongs the damage because whoever hurt you did it once, but you, by remembering it, repeat it 1,000 times. Peace is not found in revenge or late justice. It is found in the ability to let go of what does not deserve to continue occupying your present. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is a form of liberation. How to achieve it? First, understand that forgiving does not mean reconciling or forgetting. You do not need to reopen the door to those who closed it with betrayal. Forgiving means choosing not to carry that energy that robs you of vitality anymore. It is an act of self-love, not acceptance of harm. Second, separate the fact from the interpretation. Often the wound grows more from what we imagine around the event than from what actually happened. If you constantly repeat, "They ruined my life," you enlarge the pain more than necessary. Change that narrative to, "I learned not to allow the same thing again." The change in perspective reduces the power of resentment. Third, use the practice of detachment. Each time a painful memory appears, breathe and say silently, "This no longer belongs to me." Detachment does not erase what was lived, but it cuts the emotional tie that keeps it active. With each repetition, you train your mind to let go. Fourth, seek to transform pain into a lesson. Ask yourself what strength emerged from that wound, what understanding you gained. The Stoic does not see suffering as punishment, but as raw material for wisdom. If you manage to rescue a lesson from what happened, the wound ceases to be a burden and becomes a scar that remembers your resilience. Fifth, limit the power of the person who hurt you. If every action of yours is still conditioned by what happened, you continue to give them control. Regain your autonomy with small daily acts. Do what you enjoy. Dedicate time to your growth and stop measuring your life by the yardstick of what happened. Freedom begins when you no longer revolve around the wound. Sixth, understand that forgiveness is a process. Do not expect to feel it immediately. There will be days where it seems you have let go, and others where resentment returns with force. The key is to persist, to choose again and again not to feed that fire. Consistency slowly transforms the wound into calm. Stoic forgiveness does not seek to excuse, it seeks to regain peace. Because in the end, what you lose by not forgiving is not the other person, but your tranquility. And when you understand that your serenity is more valuable than any resentment, you make the decision to free yourself. Resentment is a chain that no one else can break for you. Only you have the key. Each time you choose to let go, the ember cools a little more and your heart breathes more lightly. 7. Stop justifying yourself. Constantly explaining yourself is like trying to cover the sun with your hands. No matter how hard you try, the light always finds a way to shine, and in the end, all you achieve is exhaustion. This is what happens when you live justifying every decision, every emotion, and every mistake, as if your worth depended on others approving of you. Turning yourself into an explainer of your life is to renounce your own freedom, because instead of living it, you are defending it before an invisible jury that is never satisfied. Stoicism teaches that you should not waste energy on what you cannot control, and among those things is the opinion of others. Justifying yourself is handing over your power to the judgment of others. It is accepting that your peace depends on convincing them. Whoever lives explaining themselves loses strength because they stop acting out of conviction and start acting for validation. The result is predictable: anxiety, insecurity, and a permanent feeling of insufficiency. How to stop falling into this trap? First, accept that not everyone has to understand you. Your life is not an open book to please curiosities or criticisms disguised as advice. Most people are not looking to understand you, they are looking to confirm their own beliefs through you. When you understand this, you stop wasting words on battles you can never win. Second, practice the value of silence. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't have to justify every decision. Sometimes silence is the strongest statement you can make. It's not about arrogance, but about showing that you don't need external approval to sustain your path. Every time you choose to remain silent instead of justifying yourself, you affirm your independence. Third, replace justification with action. Explanations try to clean up with words what only actions can demonstrate. If someone doubts you, don't waste time defending yourself. Focus on acting consistently. Over time, results speak louder than any speech. Congruence is the strongest language there is. Fourth, review your own internal demands. Often, you don't just justify yourself to others, you also do it to yourself, repeating over and over again that you didn't do enough. Change that critical internal voice for a realistic evaluation. Did I do what was in my hands? Was I true to my principles? If the answer is yes, you don't need any more defense. Fifth, establish firm boundaries. There will be people who seek constant answers to each of your choices, but your time and energy are not bargaining chips. Learn to say, "I don't need to explain it," or "It's my decision." It may seem abrupt at first, but it is a statement of respect for yourself. Sixth, cultivate confidence in your purpose. When you know where you are going, you don't need to convince anyone of your direction. Justification is born from doubt, and doubt dissipates when your goal is clear. Spend time defining what you want from your life and what values guide your steps. That clarity will make you firm in the face of criticism. The Stoic understands that the value of their actions is not in external interpretations, but in internal consistency. They don't waste energy trying to convince those who don't want to be convinced. They live according to their principles and let the echo of their actions resonate more than words. To stop justifying yourself doesn't mean being indifferent. It means recognizing that you don't need to prove your worth over and over again. Your life is not a trial, it's a journey. 8. transform your habits. The water that drips on a stone does not break it in one day, but over time it wears it down until it opens a groove. This is how your habits work. Small actions that seem harmless but, repeated day after day, shape who you are and where you are heading. It is not the big decisions that define your life, but the everyday gestures you make without thinking. If your habits are weak, your character weakens. If they are firm and conscious, your life strengthens. Stoicism teaches that discipline is the path to freedom, and discipline is nothing more than mastery over what you do daily. You cannot control fate, but you can control how you use each morning, each afternoon, and each night. What you practice consistently becomes your identity, because in the end, you are not what you dream, you are what you repeat. How to transform those habits so they work in your favor and not against you. The first step is to observe without deception. Make an honest inventory of what you do each day, from how you start the morning to how you end the night. Ask yourself if those actions bring you closer to the person you want to be, or if they only feed the inertia that keeps you stuck. Without this clarity, any attempt at change will be just an illusion. The second step is to choose a key habit that can act as a foundation. Don't try to change everything at once, because that's the recipe for failure. Select an action that, when repeated, drags improvements in other areas. It could be getting up early, exercising, reading for a few minutes, or keeping a journal. The important thing is that it is concrete and possible to fulfill every day without excuses. The third step is to eliminate frictions that lead you to the negative habit. If you want to stop wasting hours on social media, turn off notifications or set screen-free times. If you want to improve your diet, don't fill your house with what you know harms you. It's not enough to want to change. You need to design your environment to facilitate the right path and make the wrong one difficult. The fourth step is conscious repetition. Don't expect immediate results. Just like water on the stone, changes require consistency. Every time you repeat a positive habit, you reinforce the identity you want to build. The key is to do it even when you don't feel like it, because it is in those moments where character is formed. The fifth step is to reward your progress, not with excesses or setbacks, but by internally recognizing that you accomplished what you set out to do. That feeling of victory, however small, fuels the motivation to continue. You don't need others to celebrate it, it's enough that you value it. The sixth step is to replace instead of eliminate. A bad habit rarely disappears on its own, it needs to be replaced. If you quit smoking, try walking. If you stop criticizing, practice self-observation. If you stop complaining, practice gratitude. Filling the void with something constructive prevents the old habit from returning disguised as temptation. The Stoic understands that his life is forged in routine. He does not expect a great external change, but works every day to master the small. Because in the end, it is those small actions that define his destiny. Transforming your habits is transforming your future. There are no shortcuts, no magic formulas, only discipline, consistency, and the courage to choose today what will build your character tomorrow. If you want to change your life, start by changing what you repeat in silence when no one sees you. That will always be the true beginning of your greatness. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.